There are some sounds you never expect to hear. The crack of ice before it gives way beneath you. The click of a lock when you thought you were safe. Or the voice of a man who supposedly couldn't speak, shattering your entire world on what should have been the happiest night of your life. Welcome to Tea and Payback, where the tea is hot, the secrets are messy, and karma always finds her way home. Before I go on, just a quick reminder. I share new life stories every day. If you enjoy them, subscribing and liking the video would mean a lot to me. Now sit down, pour yourself a cup of tea, let's continue. My name is Jasmine. I'm 27 years old, and I teach English at Roosevelt High in Chicago. This is the story of how my mother sold me into a marriage built on lies, how I discovered the truth in the cruelest possible way, and what I chose to do about it. Because revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes, it's about refusing to let someone else's deception define you. The door clicked shut behind us, sealing off the noise of Michigan Avenue and the fading echoes of our reception still raging at the Grand Pavilion. We stood in the foyer of what was now our penthouse, though I'd only seen it in photographs. My mother, Patricia, had insisted I call it our home for the past 3 months, even though I'd never set foot inside. I kicked off the ivory heels that had been torturing me for 12 hours. Mom had picked them out herself, ignoring my protests. "Jasmine, you must look flawless," she'd said, like I was a doll being dressed for display. Damon stood beside me, unbuttoning his immaculate charcoal suit. He was 38, distinguished, with sharp features and hazel eyes that seemed to notice everything. His hands moved with practiced precision, those long fingers that had spent 6 months communicating through sign language and written notes. 6 months of silence that I'd accepted as part of who he was. My mother always said it was a small sacrifice for such a successful, financially secure husband. I turned to face him, ready to sign my usual offer of tea. We had our routines by now, our silent rituals. But before I could raise my hands, Damon looked directly into my eyes and spoke in a deep, resonant voice that made every nerve in my body go cold. "Jasmine, we need to talk. About what's really been going on." The world tilted. My heart stopped, then started hammering so violently I thought my ribs would crack. My hands went completely numb. I grabbed the wall to keep from collapsing. My husband, the man who supposedly lost his voice in childhood trauma, was speaking. Clearly, perfectly, with a slight rasp that would have been attractive under any other circumstance. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Not a sound, not a breath, just the rushing of blood in my ears and the terrible realization that everything I knew was a lie. Damon stepped toward me, reaching out, but I jerked away like he'd burned me. Something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, maybe. Regret. But he didn't back down. "I know this is a shock," he said, and the words felt obscene coming from lips that should have been silent. "Please, let's sit down. You need to hear the truth about who I am, why this was necessary, and what your mother—" I didn't let him finish. I yanked open the bathroom door, stumbled inside, and slammed the lock. My legs gave out, and I collapsed onto the edge of the marble tub, hands shaking so violently I could barely hold them together. Tears came hard and fast, destroying the makeup that took 2 hours to apply. I looked like a ghost in the mirror, a bride in a designer gown that cost more than I made in 6 months. Hair styled to perfection, and mascara running down my face like war paint. Damon wasn't mute. For 6 months, he'd lied to my face. Every gesture, every written note, every moment I thought I saw sadness in his eyes about his condition. All of it, a performance. And my mother knew. The words echoed in my head. "What, your mother? How deep did this go? Was Patricia complicit? Had my own mother orchestrated this entire thing?" His footsteps approached the door. A soft knock. "Jasmine, please come out. I understand you feel betrayed. You are betrayed. But give me a chance to explain everything. Let me tell you why." I couldn't answer. My throat had closed completely. Instead, I stared at my reflection. 27 years old. A high school teacher who loved literature and her students. Living with my mother in a cramped apartment because I couldn't afford anything better on my salary. While my friends got married and started families, I stayed single, stayed lonely, stayed waiting for something real. And then Patricia found him. Damon Sterling, successful entrepreneur, owner of a chain of electronics stores across the Midwest, financially stable, well-mannered, educated, and mute since childhood due to unspecified trauma. The silence shouldn't matter, Mom had said when I hesitated. He communicates beautifully. And more importantly, Jasmine, he can give you everything. You'll never struggle like I did. Her mistakes. That's what she called her marriage to Dad. 23 years of what I remembered as love and happiness, rewritten in her mind as financial failure. Dad died 8 years ago from an aggressive illness that struck fast and took him faster. Mom convinced herself that if he'd been wealthier, if she'd married smarter, better treatment would have saved him. She'd been rewriting that narrative ever since, and apparently, I was the sequel she needed to get right. Jasmine, his voice again, muffled through the door. I'll wait as long as you need. But please hear me out. Then you can decide what to do. I washed my face with cold water, dried it, stared at the ruined makeup. The expensive dress crumpled around me. I looked like the aftermath of something violent, which in a way I was. Slowly, I turned the lock, opened the door. Damon stood in the hallway, leaning against the wall. He'd removed his jacket and loosened his tie. When he saw me, he straightened immediately. Relief washed over his face. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Let's go to the living room." I walked past him without a word, sat on the edge of the leather sofa. He took the armchair across from me, keeping distance between us. Like he understood I needed space. Like he understood anything about what I needed. He was silent for a long moment. Then he took a deep breath and began talking. And what he told me over the next 30 minutes completely destroyed every assumption I'd built about the last 6 months. I'm not mute, Jasmine. I never have been. I grew up normal, went to regular schools, got my business degree, built my company from nothing. He paused, watching my face. 2 years ago, I was married. Her name was Simone. We were together 5 years. I loved her completely. And she'd been having an affair for over a year before I found out. His eyes held genuine pain, raw and deep. The divorce was brutal. She demanded half of everything. My business, my assets, my home. And she got it because I was too devastated to fight. I had to rebuild from almost nothing. "So you decided to pretend you couldn't speak," I said, my voice strange and hoarse. "To test if the next woman would marry you for money instead of charm." "Not exactly." Damon stood, walked to the window overlooking the city lights. "The idea was a collaboration. With your mother." Everything inside me went cold. "What?" "Patricia Sterling is my godmother. We've known each other since I was born." The name hit me like a fist. Patricia Sterling. Not Patricia Coleman, her maiden name. Sterling. She'd never mentioned knowing him. Never said a word about any connection beyond an old acquaintance. She'd lied by omission for months. After my divorce, she reached out. Said she wanted to help. She told me about you. How smart you were. How kind. How you weren't like other women chasing status and money. How you valued real substance. He turned to face me, and she suggested we meet. But I was terrified of being fooled again, of trusting the wrong person. So this was a test. My voice came out flat. "Dead. You and my mother decided to test me like I was some kind of experiment." "She suggested it," Damon said quietly. The muteness. "She said if you agreed to marry me, even though I couldn't speak, it would prove you weren't shallow. That you saw the person, not the performance." I stood up, anger finally cutting through the shock. "You created the performance. You pretended to be someone you weren't. How is that different from what you accused your ex-wife of?" "It's not," he admitted. "You're absolutely right. I became the liar I feared. And your mother. My mother manipulated me." The words tasted like poison. She convinced me this was the right choice. That love would come with time. That stability mattered more than passion. She arranged my entire life without asking what I wanted. Damon didn't answer, but I saw confirmation in his silence. Something broke inside me then. Not anger, not hurt, something deeper. The betrayal by the person I'd trusted most in the world. The woman who raised me, who supposedly wanted what was best for me. Get out, I said quietly. I don't care where you go. Hotel. Friend's place. I don't care. But right now, I can't look at you. He hesitated. Jasmine, I'm truly sorry. I know I was wrong, but please. Get out. My voice rose. Now. He nodded slowly. Walked to the door. Paused at the threshold. I'll be at my brother's place in Lincoln Park. Here's his number if you need anything. He set a business card on the entry table. And Jasmine, forgive me. Please. The door closed behind him. I was alone in the perfect penthouse he'd furnished for our life together. A life built on quicksand. I collapsed back onto the sofa, pulled my knees to my chest, and wept. For the lost illusions. For the trust shattered beyond recognition. For the maternal love that turned out to be controlling and distorted. I cried because I didn't know who I was anymore. A wife. A fool. A pawn in someone else's chess game. The phone buzzed. Mom's name lit up the screen. Of course she was calling. Probably wanted to know how the first night went. If her perfect plan was working. I stared at it. Declined. It rang again. Declined again. Then a text. Jasmine, why aren't you answering? Is everything okay? Call me. I threw the phone onto the cushion and covered my face. No, Mom. Nothing is okay. Your perfect plan just detonated because you forgot one detail. I'm not a chess piece. I'm a person. With feelings. With rights. With the right to truth and the right to my own life. Sleep never came. I spent the night tossing and turning, replaying every date. Every moment he'd used gestures instead of words. Every time I'd seen warmth in his eyes and thought it was sincerity. Was any of it real? Or was every smile, every look, every carefully written note just another layer of performance? The knock came just after noon. I looked through the peephole and saw Patricia standing there with grocery bags, worry etched across her face. I hesitated, then opened the door. She rushed in, setting the bags down. Jasmine, you look terrible. What happened? Where's Damon? I walked to the kitchen, turned on the kettle. She followed. Damon can speak, I said evenly. He was never mute. He was pretending, and you knew from the beginning. All color drained from her face, then flushed bright red. She opened her mouth, closed it, couldn't find words. Is it true? I asked, though I already knew. Were you part of this deception? Did you manipulate me, arrange my life, without ever asking my consent? Mom leaned against the counter, ran a hand over her face. Jasmine, I can explain. Explain what? Explain why my own mother decided she had the right to control my life? Why you didn't tell me the truth about Damon? Why you were part of this entire production? She was quiet for a long time, staring out the window. Then she sighed. Damon is my godson. I knew his parents before he was born. We were close, but life separated us. When he got divorced, when I learned what he'd gone through, how that woman destroyed him, I felt terrible for him. He's such a good man. Always was. Hardworking. Honest. Respectable. And you thought he was perfect for me. I finished. So you decided to play puppeteer with both our lives. I wanted to help you, Patricia said, pleading. You were alone so long. I watched you suffer, watched you lonely and struggling. I knew Damon was good, that he'd care for you, give you everything you needed. But you decided for me. You were part of a lie that was supposed to be the foundation of my marriage. What kind of relationship can survive that? It wasn't entirely a lie, she protested. Damon really wanted a wife, really wanted family. The muteness was just a test to make sure you were marrying him for the right reasons. Is that so terrible? I slammed my hand on the counter. Yes, Mom. Yes. Because relationships are built on trust and honesty. You two started with deception. How can I ever trust him now? Trust you. She tried to embrace me. I pulled away. Don't. I don't want comfort from you right now. I want truth. All of it. Everything you planned and why. So she told me how Damon came to her broken after the divorce, how she offered to introduce us, describing me as reliable, kind, domestic, how he agreed to meet, but asked for assurance I wasn't like Simone, how the mutinous idea was his, but she endorsed it, how they both tested him, to make sure we'd be compatible. So it was mutual surveillance, I said bitterly. He tested me. You tested him. Patricia nodded. And when I saw how he treated you, how caring he was, I knew he was genuine, that you'd be happy together. But you never asked what I thought, never gave me choice. You just assumed you knew better. I thought it would work out, Mom said softly, almost whispering. I thought once you were married, once you were together, you'd forgive him. Understand it was for your protection. I looked at her, the woman who raised me, who I'd loved my entire life. And I felt a strange mixture of pity and rage. Pity because she genuinely believed she was right. Rage because she couldn't see me as an adult capable of my own decisions. Mom, I don't know if I can forgive you. Not now. Maybe eventually. But right now I need space. I need to figure out my own feelings without your interference. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I'm sorry, Jasmine. I truly wanted what's best. I know, I said quietly. That's what makes it worse. After she left, I sat alone in the silence, trying to decide what came next. Divorce seemed logical. Annulment, maybe, since the marriage was based on fraud. But something in me resisted. Maybe because I remembered Damon's eyes when he apologized. Maybe because I realized he was also a victim. Victim of Simone's betrayal. Victim of fear. But that doesn't excuse the lie, I told myself. It explains it, but doesn't excuse it. I spent the day wandering the penthouse, eating whatever I found in the fridge, staring out windows, trying to read but unable to focus. Toward evening, my best friend Vanessa called. Mom had reached out to her, worried. I told her everything. The fake muteness, the conspiracy with Patricia, the wedding night revelation. Vanessa listened, her shock growing with every detail. That's insane, she breathed when I finished. They actually coordinated this whole thing? What are you going to do? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to run, but part of me wonders if there was anything real between us. If his attention and care were genuine, or just more performance. What do you want? Vanessa asked. Not your mother. Not Damon. You. What do you feel? I thought about it. Anger, definitely. Hurt, absolutely. Disappointment, of course. But underneath all that was something else. Curiosity, maybe. A need to understand if the man I'd spent 6 months with was completely fiction, or if there was truth hidden beneath the lies. I think, I said slowly, I need to talk to him again. Really talk. Without secrets. That evening, I called the number he'd left. He answered on the first ring. Jasmine. Come home, I said. We need to talk. Really talk. Everything. No more secrets. I'll be there in 15 minutes. He arrived in 12. We sat in the living room again, but this time I let him sit beside me on the sofa. Not touching, but closer. Tell me everything, I said. From the beginning. Your marriage to Simone. Why you agreed to this plan. What you really felt during our courtship. Everything. So he talked. For over an hour, he told me about Simone. How he'd loved her completely. How he discovered the affair through a careless text message. How she didn't even deny it. Just said she'd wanted to leave for months but waited for the right moment. How the divorce stripped him of nearly everything he'd built. After that, I swore I'd never marry for love again, he said. That next time I'd be smarter, more careful. And when Patricia offered to introduce us, when she described you as genuine and kind, I was interested, but terrified. So you created an elaborate lie to protect yourself. Yes, he met my eyes. And it was wrong, completely wrong. I became exactly what I feared. A manipulator, a liar. Why tell me now? I asked. You could have kept pretending. Maybe forever. Because I couldn't, he said simply. The closer we got, the more I got to know you, the more the lie poisoned everything. I was falling for you, Jasmine. The real you. And I couldn't build something real on that foundation of deception. I studied his face, looking for tells, for signs of more lies. But all I saw was exhaustion and regret. Here's what I want, I said finally. We start over. Completely over. Pretend we just met. No history. No lies. No wedding. Just two people getting to know each other. For real this time. Hope flickered in his eyes. On your terms. Complete honesty about everything. Everything, I confirmed. Your past. Your fears. Your hopes. And I'll be honest too. About my doubts. My feelings. What I really think. If there's something real between us, we'll find it. If not, at least we'll know. I agree, he said quickly. To anything. Thank you, Jasmine. Don't thank me yet. I'm not promising forgiveness. I'm not promising this works. This is just an attempt. He nodded. I understand. And I'll do everything to prove I'm worthy of your trust. The following weeks were strange. We met every day like we were dating for the first time. He told me about his childhood, his parents, how he built his business, his hobbies and dreams. And I opened up too, about my relationship with Patricia, my job, what I wanted from life. Hearing his voice was surreal, deep and pleasant with that slight rasp. He spoke slowly, carefully, like he was afraid of saying the wrong thing again. I learned he loved Dostoevsky, that he dreamed of becoming an architect as a kid, that he was terrified of heights, but never told anyone. That autumn reminded him of picking mushrooms with his parents. And he learned about me, the real me, not the person I'd tried to be for Mom's approval. He found out I loved dancing even though I was terrible at it, that I dreamed of writing a novel but was scared to fail, that I hated lies of any kind, even polite social ones. I know, he said when I confessed that. That's why I'm terrified of deceiving you again, even accidentally. Gradually, anger gave way to understanding. I still hadn't forgiven him completely, but I was beginning to see the situation differently. He was wounded too, broken by betrayal, looking for safety in all the wrong ways. The confrontation with Mom took longer. 2 weeks after that first meeting, we sat in a cafe downtown. She was nervous, twisting her napkin. Jasmine, forgive me. I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted you to be safe and happy. Mom, you made decisions for me. You didn't ask what I wanted. You treated me like a child who couldn't think for herself. She lowered her eyes. I know. After your father passed, after I watched him fade because we couldn't afford better treatment, I was so scared for you. Scared you'd make the same mistakes. Marry for love to someone who couldn't provide. But Dad wasn't a mistake, I said gently. You loved each other. You were happy. Wasn't that more important than money? Tears fell. You don't understand. When he got sick, when I couldn't get him the best care, I realized love wasn't enough. You also need security. I took her hand. Mom, Dad didn't die because of money. He died because that's what happens in life. You can't blame yourself. We cried together, released old resentments. I forgive you, I finally said. But from now on, trust me. Trust my choices. I'm an adult. She nodded. I promise. A month passed. Damon and I were still living separately, but meeting every day. Rebuilding step by careful step. One evening in Grant Park, he stopped walking and took my hands. Do we have a chance? He asked. Can you ever fully forgive me? Give our marriage a real shot. I was quiet, thinking. Had I completely forgiven him? No. The scar still hurt. But I felt we were moving forward, building something genuine. I don't know if I can forgive completely, I answered honestly. But I know I want to try. I want to give us a chance to become a real family, built on honesty. He smiled, relief washing over him. Then let's try. Together. No secrets. Just us. We hugged under the autumn trees. And I felt that maybe we truly did have a chance. A week later, Damon moved back into the penthouse. We agreed to live as roommates, separate bedrooms, no obligations. Just two people under one roof getting to know each other. The first days were awkward. I'd grown used to being alone. Now I had to share space with someone who was still partly a stranger. We'd meet in the kitchen mornings, exchange glances, try to start conversations. Damon tried hard, made coffee exactly how I liked it, left notes on the fridge, offered to help with everything. I appreciated his effort, but remained guarded. Trust rebuilds slowly. One evening while I was cooking dinner, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it to find a stunning woman on the threshold. Polished, expensive coat, perfect hair and makeup. She looked me up and down with clear judgment. "Who are you?" I asked, uneasy spreading through me. The woman smiled coldly. "I'm Simone, Damon's ex-wife. And you must be the new Mrs. Sterling." My heart sank. Simone, the woman who'd betrayed Damon. The reason for this entire mess. "What do you want?" "I need to talk to Damon. It's important." "I'm here." Damon's voice came from behind me. He placed a protective hand on my shoulder. "What are you doing here, Simone?" She smiled that same cold smile. "Can't you guess?" "I came to talk about our past. About what we had. What we might still have." I felt Damon tense beside me, his grip tightening. "We don't have a future, Simone. We don't even have a present. Just a past that ended 2 years ago." "You think so?" Simone shook her head. "We were married 5 years. 5 years of my life I gave you. You really think you can just erase me?" "She is my wife," Damon said firmly. "I ask you to respect her. As for us, it ended when you chose someone else." Simone's eyes filled with tears that she quickly blinked away. "I made a mistake, Damon. I realized too late, but I did realize it. That man left me after 6 months. Said I was just a distraction. But you were real. You loved me genuinely, and I was too stupid to appreciate it." I looked at her, and despite my anger, I saw genuine pain, deep regret. "Even if that's true, it's too late," Damon said wearily. "I've moved on. I have a new life, a new relationship. I don't want to revisit the past." Simone looked at me, then back at Damon. "Do you truly love her? Or is this just an attempt to forget me?" Damon hesitated. The silence stretched too long. Something clenched in my chest. Why wasn't he answering immediately? "I am building a relationship with her," he finally said. "An honest, open relationship. Please respect that and leave us alone." Simone nodded, a tear rolling down her cheek. "Fine. I'll go. But know this, Damon. If you ever change your mind, if you ever want a second chance, I'll be waiting." She turned and left. Damon closed the door, leaned against it, eyes shut. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I didn't know she'd come. Didn't know she wanted to come back." I stood with arms crossed. "You hesitated. When she asked if you loved me, you hesitated." He opened his eyes. "Jasmine, I hesitated not because I'm thinking about Simone. I hesitated because I don't know if I have the right to talk about love after what I did. After deceiving you for 6 months." He walked closer, took my hands. "But if you're asking if I have feelings for you, yes. Strong, deep feelings that have grown with every meeting. And no, I don't want to go back to Simone. I don't want that pain and betrayal." I searched his eyes. Saw sincerity so clear I couldn't help but believe him. "All right," I said softly. "But if she comes back, if she tries again, tell me immediately. No secrets. I promise. No secrets." We returned to normal, but Simone's visit left a mark. I caught myself thinking about their 5 years together. Their history. Their connection that we didn't have. It spawned doubts. Was I enough? Could he truly forget her? Vanessa was adamant when I told her, "Don't let that woman ruin what you're building. She's jealous he moved on while she's alone." But she was his first love. 5 years of marriage. How do I compete with that? Vanessa grabbed my shoulders. "You don't compete. You just be yourself. If Damon chose you, he sees something in you that wasn't in Simone. Trust him. Trust yourself." I tried, but it wasn't easy. Every time Damon was late from work, every time he went quiet and thoughtful, I wondered, is he thinking about her? 2 weeks later, I accidentally saw a text on Damon's phone. He'd left it on the kitchen table while showering. The screen lit up. I can't stop thinking about you. Please meet me just once. Simone. My heart stopped. They were texting, despite his promises. When Damon came out, I was sitting on the sofa with his phone. He saw my face. Understood immediately. Jasmine, I can explain. Explain, I said coldly, handing him the phone. Explain why your ex-wife is texting you. Why you're in contact when you promised it was over. He took the phone, looked at the message. This is her first text in 2 weeks. I haven't answered. Haven't sought contact. He showed me the history. Dozens of messages from Simone. Begging for meetings. Saying she missed him. Wanted him back. But not a single response from Damon. Why didn't you block her number? I asked, anger giving way to confusion. He sat beside me. Because I was afraid it would look like running away. Like I still felt something and had to avoid her. I wanted to show I didn't care. That her words didn't affect me. But they affect me, I said softly. Every message she sends, every attempt to get you back affects me. Because I'm unsure, Damon. Unsure about us. And when she appears, all my doubts return. Damon took his phone, went to contacts, found Simone's number, and blocked it. Then did the same with my phone. See? Blocked forever. She can't contact me anymore. And if she tries another way, I'll tell her directly I want no communication. I looked at him, felt gratitude, guilt for making him do it, and relief that he chose me. Thank you. That means a lot. He hugged me close. I know, and I want you to feel secure. To know I chose you not from calculation, but because I want to be with you. We sat embracing. Something warm grew inside me. Something that resembled trust. Not complete, not absolute, but a beginning. But life wasn't ready to give us peace yet. A week later, I found an envelope in the mailbox. No return address. Inside were photographs of Damon and Simone from their marriage. Happy, smiling, embracing, their wedding day, looking so in love, and a note in feminine handwriting. He was happy with me, truly happy. Can you give him the same? I stood in the foyer holding those photos, everything inside clenching with pain. They looked genuinely happy. And who was I? A rebound? An experiment? When Damon came home, I silently handed him the envelope. His face darkened. It's Simone. She won't give up. She's trying to destroy what we have. And what do we have, Damon? I asked tiredly. What are we building? We live under the same roof, but in different rooms. We're married, but it started with a lie. We talk about feelings, but I'm not sure they're real. He put the photos down, walked over. Jasmine, I understand your doubts. I understand it's hard to believe someone who started with lies. But I'm truly trying. I genuinely want to build something real with you. Then prove it, I said, surprised by my own firmness. Prove it with actions, not words. Because I've heard plenty of words. What do you want me to do? I thought about what I truly wanted. I want to meet your family, your parents, your brother. I want to see how they feel about you, about us. I want to understand who you truly are through the people who've known you your whole life. He nodded. Okay, I'll call them and arrange it. They've wanted to meet you for a long time. The meeting was set for the following weekend. We drove to his parents' home in Evanston. I was nervous, rehearsing what to say. Don't worry, Damon reassured me. They're good people. They'll love you. His parents' home was large and welcoming. His mother, Eleanor Sterling, was a warm woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a bright smile. We finally meet, she exclaimed, hugging me. Damon has told me so much about you. Come in, come in. His father, Richard Sterling, was more reserved but welcoming. He shook my hand, looked into my eyes like he was assessing me. During lunch, Eleanor asked about my job, my family, my interests. I answered honestly. Talked about teaching, my students, my love for literature. A teacher, a noble profession, Richard remarked. My mother taught mathematics her whole life. I saw how much heart she put into her students. After lunch, Damon went with his father to discuss business. I stayed in the kitchen with Eleanor, washing dishes. "Jasmine, may I ask something personal?" she said suddenly. I tensed. "Of course. Are you happy with my son?" "Truly happy." I froze. Was I happy? Or just trying to build something from ruins? "I don't know," I confessed honestly. "It's complicated. Our marriage didn't start right, and I'm still trying to figure out what I feel. Whether I can trust him." Eleanor nodded, wiping a plate. "Patricia told me about the situation, about the plan she and Damon came up with. I was against it from the start. I told my son you shouldn't build relationships on lies. But he was so wounded after Simone, so afraid of being deceived again." She turned to me, hand on my shoulder. "But I saw how he changed after meeting you. Even when he was still pretending, I saw something new in his eyes. Lightness, joy, hope. The Damon I hadn't seen in 2 years. And I knew you were special to him. Not just a convenient wife, but someone who truly mattered." Her words warmed me, gave me hope. "Truth is hard, dear," she continued. "My son isn't perfect. He made a huge mistake starting your relationship with lies. But he's trying to make amends. Trying to be better for you. Isn't that worthy of a second chance?" Maybe she was right. Maybe mistakes don't define us. What matters is how we try to correct them. As we left, Eleanor hugged me goodbye and whispered, "Give him a chance, Jasmine. Give both of you a chance to be happy." On the drive home, I was quiet, thoughtful. Damon noticed. "What are you thinking about?" "About us. About what your mother said. About how maybe we really do deserve a chance." He took my hand, kissed my fingers. "We do deserve it, Jasmine. I believe that." When we got home, a surprise waited at our door. Simone sat on the floor, looking exhausted and disheveled. Nothing like the polished woman from before. "Malik, please hear me out," she began, standing. "I know you blocked me, but I really need to talk." "We have nothing to talk about, Simone," Damon said sharply. "How many times do I have to say it? It's over." "I'm pregnant," Simone blurted out. The world stopped. I looked at her, trying to process what I'd heard. "Pregnant? That can't be my child," Damon said slowly. "We haven't been together for 2 years." Simone shook her head, tears streaming. "No, it's not yours. I met another man after we split. The one I left you for. We were together a few months. Then he found out about the pregnancy and vanished. Just disappeared without a word." She sank to the floor by the door, hugging her knees. I realized what a mistake I made. A huge, unforgivable mistake. I had you, Damon. A man who loved me and cared for me. And I chose excitement and thrills. And what did I get? Pregnant and alone. Abandoned by a man who didn't even say goodbye. And you're no longer in my life. She looked up at us, eyes full of despair. "I'm not asking you to come back. I know that's impossible. I just wanted you to know how much I regret what I did." She stood, wiping tears. "I'm sorry I bothered you. I won't come back or write again. I wish you happiness, Damon. Real happiness. The kind I couldn't give you." She left. We stood in the foyer, processing what just happened. "Do you want to help her?" I asked. Damon looked at me. "I don't want to go back to her. But she was part of my life for 5 years. I can't just ignore her when she's in trouble. That wouldn't be right." I thought about it. He was right. Despite everything, Simone was a person in need. To ignore that would be losing part of our humanity. "All right," I said. "Help her, but keep me informed. I want to know how you're helping and when you meet her, if at all. Complete transparency." Damon hugged me. "Thank you for understanding. Complete transparency. I promise." Over the next week, life calmed down. Simone didn't appear again. She only occasionally sent brief messages thanking Damon for financial help. He showed me every message, every transfer. No secrets. Damon and I grew closer. Gradually. Step by step. We cooked together, watched movies, walked in the park. Normal things normal couples do. And it felt pleasant. Calm. Right. One evening on the sofa after dinner, Damon suddenly said, "Jasmine, I want to tell you something important. I tensed. Every time he started like that, I expected another confession. I love you, he said simply. I know I've said it before, but now I want to say it differently. Without reservations. Without doubts. I love you, Jasmine. I love your kindness. Your strength. Your capacity for forgiveness. I love the way you smile when you read. I love how you talk about your students with such tenderness. I love everything about you. I looked at him, eyes filling with tears. No one had ever said such words to me. So sincerely. So openly. I'm not asking you to say it back right now, he continued. I know you need time. That trust rebuilds slowly. I just want you to know what I feel. Without games. Without pretense. Just truth. I reached out, touched his cheek. Thank you for your honesty. For not pressuring me or rushing me. He covered my hand with his. We have time, Jasmine. Our whole lives ahead. But life had one more test for us. A month later, I felt unwell. Morning sickness. Dizziness. Weakness. At first, I blamed stress and overwork. But when symptoms persisted after a week, I went to the doctor. The test showed 2 lines. I was pregnant. I sat in the office holding the results, unable to believe it. Pregnant with Damon's child. The man I wasn't even fully living with as husband and wife because I wasn't ready for that intimacy yet. But how? I'd whispered. The doctor smiled. You're married according to your paperwork. Were you not using protection? I blushed. That one night after the wedding, before Damon confessed. The night I tried to forget because it was based on deception. I didn't think it would happen from one time. The doctor shrugged. It happens. Congratulations. You'll be a mother in about 7.5 months. I left in complete shock. Pregnant. Going to have a baby with Damon. In a relationship I was still unsure about. What should I do? Tell him. Of course. But how would he react? I walked around in a fog all day, rehearsing how to tell him. When Damon came home from work, I was sitting in the kitchen, nervously fiddling with a napkin. Jasmine, what's wrong? He immediately noticed my state. You look pale. I need to tell you something. I began, voice trembling. Something important that will change everything. He sat across from me, took my hands. Tell me. Whatever it is, we'll get through it. I'm pregnant. I blurted out, then fell silent, waiting for his reaction. Damon froze. Eyes widened. Face went pale, then flushed. He opened his mouth, closed it, speechless. You're pregnant? With my baby. I nodded. From that night after the wedding. I didn't expect it. Didn't think it would happen from one time. Damon suddenly stood, walked over, and hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. This is the best news of my life. The best, Jasmine. We're going to have a baby. Our baby. I felt tears streaming down his cheeks. Tears of joy, happiness, hope. Aren't you scared? I asked. Don't you think it's too soon? He pulled back, looked into my eyes. Of course I'm scared. Scared I'll be a bad father. That I won't cope. But I'm more happy. Because this baby connects us. Gives us another chance to become a real family. His words warmed me. Maybe this truly was a chance. A chance to build something real. Founded not on deception, but on love for our future child. But I don't want you to stay with me just because of the baby, Damon added. If you still have doubts about us, if you don't feel like you can trust me, tell me. I'll be involved in the baby's life and help you, but I won't hold you in a relationship where you're unhappy. I looked at him. This man who started with lies but was now completely honest. And suddenly I realized that despite all the fear and doubts, I wanted to try. Wanted to give us a chance to become a family. I'm staying, I said. Not just because of the baby, but because I think I'm starting to love you. Truly love you. Damon hugged me again. We stood there holding each other, feeling something new growing between us. Not passion, not infatuation, but something deeper, more enduring. Love built on honesty, trust, and mutual respect. The following months were challenging but happy. Pregnancy went smoothly. I gradually got used to the idea of becoming a mother. Damon was by my side every second. came to all appointments, read books about pregnancy and childbirth, prepared the nursery. Mom, when she heard about the pregnancy, was ecstatic. "See, my daughter? I told you Damon was perfect. Now you'll have a complete family." I didn't argue, though I wanted to say families are built on love, not calculation. But Mom was happy, and I didn't want to ruin her mood. Simone continued receiving financial help from Damon until she gave birth. Then she refused it herself, saying she'd found a job and could provide for herself and her baby. "Do you think she'll manage?" I asked Damon one day. "I think so," he replied. "Simone is strong when she wants to be. Maybe motherhood will change her, make her more responsible." In my 7th month, Damon and I finally decided to live as true husband and wife. No longer separate rooms, but together in the same bed. It felt strange and exciting, but also right. Like everything had finally fallen into place. "Jasmine," Damon said one night as we lay embracing. "Thank you." "For what?" "For giving me a chance. For not giving up when it would have been easier to leave. For believing in us." I turned to him, looked into his eyes. "I want to say thank you too. For changing. For learning to be honest. For loving me despite all my fears and doubts." He kissed me tenderly, carefully, like I was the most precious thing he had. And in that moment I knew. Yes, I loved him. Deeply and truly. The birth started 2 weeks early. I woke up in the middle of the night with sharp pain. Damon woke immediately, jumped out of bed. "Contractions starting?" I nodded, clenching my teeth against the pain. "I think so." He was amazing. Calm. Collected. Knew exactly what to do. Helped me dress, packed the prepared bag, called a taxi. On the way to the hospital, he held my hand, comforting me, telling me everything would be fine. Labor was long and hard. 14 hours of pain, exhaustion, fear. But Damon was by my side every minute. Never left. Wiped my brow. Whispered encouragement. And finally, when I thought I couldn't bear it anymore, a cry rang out. The cry of our daughter who'd just come into the world. "It's a girl," the midwife announced, placing the tiny bundle on my chest. "Congratulations. A healthy, beautiful girl." I looked at the little human, at her wrinkled red face, at her tiny fingers already clutching my hand, and felt an overwhelming wave of love wash over me. "Our daughter," I whispered, unable to look away. Damon stood beside me, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Our baby girl, the most beautiful in the world. We named her Luna, meaning moon, and she truly was our light in the darkness. The center of our universe from the very first second." The first months of motherhood were tough. Sleepless nights, constant exhaustion, fear that I was doing everything wrong. But Damon was right there with me, helping with everything. He got up at night so I could sleep, changed diapers, rocked Luna when she cried. I watched him look at our daughter with such tenderness and adoration that my heart swelled with happiness. He was a wonderful father, attentive, caring, always ready to help. "You're an amazing mother," he said one day as we watched Luna sleep in her crib. "And you're an amazing father," I replied, taking his hand. He looked at me, so much love and gratitude in his eyes that I felt tears well up. "Jasmine, I want to say it again. Forgive me for how we started, for the deception, the lies, the games. If I could go back, I'd do everything differently. I'd start honestly, openly." I shook my head. "Don't. What's done is done. We can't change the past, but we can build the future. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of it." Damon hugged me, holding me close. "I love you, Jasmine. I love you more than life itself." "I love you, Damon," I said. Despite everything, we sat embracing, listening to our daughter's quiet breathing. And I felt that yes, we were happy. Despite the difficult start, despite all the challenges, we'd found each other, found true love, found a real family. A year passed. Luna grew, delighting us every day with smiles, first words, first steps. Damon and I grew closer, stronger. The trust that had been destroyed gradually returned. Not completely, perhaps, because scars remain forever, but enough for us to feel secure with each other. One day, Damon came home from work with a mysterious smile. "I have a surprise for you," he said, pulling an envelope from his pocket. I opened it. 2 tickets to Paris. For 2 weeks. But how? I was surprised. "What about Luna?" "My parents agreed to watch her," he said. "They've wanted to spend more time with their granddaughter. And we need a vacation. Time just for the 2 of us." I looked at the tickets. Contradictory feelings battled inside me. On one hand, I dreamed of such a trip. On the other, I was afraid to leave Luna. Afraid something would happen while I was away. "Don't worry," Damon said, reading my thoughts. "She'll be fine. Mom will manage perfectly. And we need time alone. To remember we're not just parents, but husband and wife." He was right. We deserved this vacation. These 2 weeks just for us. Paris was magical. We walked through narrow streets, drank coffee in small cafes, climbed the Eiffel Tower, admired the Louvre. Damon was attentive and romantic, just as I dreamed my husband would be. One evening, sitting on the banks of the Seine watching the sunset, Damon suddenly knelt. "What are you doing?" I was surprised. He pulled out a box and opened it. Inside was a ring. Not as lavish as the first proposal. Simple, elegant, with a small heart-shaped stone. "Jasmine, I know we're already married. I know we have a daughter and a family. But I want to do this properly. I want to ask you again, genuinely, without games or deception. Will you marry me? Will you become my wife? Not by someone else's plan, but by your own choice." I looked at him. This man who'd traveled such a long road from deceiver to honest, loving husband and father. And I felt my heart overflow with love. "Yes," I whispered through tears. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring onto my finger, hugged me, kissed me, and in that moment, I felt that everything we'd been through, all the challenges and doubts, was worth it, because it led us here, to this moment of true love and happiness. When we returned home, Luna greeted us with joyful cries, holding out her little arms. We hugged and kissed her, telling her how much we missed her. I realized this was happiness. Not perfect, not from a fairy tale, but real, hard-won, deserved. 2 more years passed. Luna started preschool. Damon and I lived a calm, measured life. Work, family, friends. The ordinary life of an ordinary couple who loved each other. Mom sometimes visited, helped with Luna, told me about her life. Our relationship had mended, though I still remembered her role in the deception. But I'd forgiven her. Understanding she truly meant well, just took the wrong path. Vanessa became Luna's godmother and our family friend. She often came over, played with our daughter, chatted with me about life. "You know, Jasmine, I'm proud of you," she said one day. "You managed to turn a lie into truth, a deception into real love. That counts for a lot." Simone got married a year and a half after Luna was born, to a good man who accepted her child as his own. She sent Damon an invitation to the wedding. Surprisingly, we went. It felt strange but right, to show we held no grudges, that we wished her happiness. "Thank you for coming," she said at the wedding, walking over to us. "And thank you for everything, Damon. For the help, for the understanding. You were better than I deserved." Damon nodded. "Be happy, Simone. You deserve it." One day when Luna was 3, she asked, "Mommy, Daddy, do you love each other?" Damon and I exchanged glances and smiled. "Yes, sweetie," I replied. "We love each other very much." "How did you meet?" I hesitated. Should I tell the truth about how it started with lies, or make up a beautiful story? Damon took my hand, squeezed it. "We met in a very unusual way," he began. "At first, we didn't understand each other. We made mistakes. But then we learned to be honest and open. And now we're a family." Luna nodded, satisfied, and ran off to play with her toys. "Thank you," I whispered, "for not lying to her." "I don't lie anymore," Damon replied. "Never to anyone. I learned that thanks to you." I hugged him. We sat holding each other, watching our daughter play. And I thought about the incredible journey we'd traveled. From that night when he spoke and shattered all my illusions, to this day when we were a happy family founded on love and trust. Yes, we started with lies. Yes, our marriage was based on deception and manipulation. But we managed to turn that into something real, something beautiful. Because it doesn't matter how you start. What matters is how you continue, how you finish. And our story, which began on that strange evening when my supposedly mute husband spoke, turned into a story of true love. Love that withstood the test of deceit, doubt, and fear. And survived, growing stronger, more genuine. Sometimes falling asleep next to Damon, I remember that night. The moment the door closed behind us, and he spoke his first words. Words that destroyed my world, but at the same time gave birth to something new. I don't regret giving him a chance. I don't regret not leaving when it would have been easiest. Because if I'd left, I would have missed this love, this family, this happiness we built together. Yes, it wasn't easy. Yes, there were moments when I wanted to give up, when it seemed easier to start over with someone else than restore broken trust. But I held on. We both held on. And it was worth it. Our story isn't a fairy tale with a perfect prince and flawless princess. It's the story of two ordinary people who made mistakes, hurt each other, doubted, but who, despite all that, chose each other, chose again and again to be together, to work on the relationship, to build something real. And now, years after that fateful night, I can say with certainty, I am happy. Truly, profoundly happy. I have a husband who loves me and whom I love. I have a daughter who fills our life with joy. I have a family. A real family built on honesty and mutual respect. Sometimes Mom asks, have you forgiven me for that plan? For being part of the deception? And I always answer, yes, Mom. I've forgiven you. Because despite the wrong methods, you helped me meet the man I'm truly happy with. Damon often asks too, do you ever regret not leaving then? For giving me a chance? I always say, no. I don't regret it for a second. Because you were worth that chance. Our story is about forgiveness. About how people can change, grow, become better. About how mistakes don't define us. What matters is how we try to fix them. Our story is about trust. About how difficult it is to rebuild when it's broken. But how it's possible if both people are willing to work at it, to be honest and open with each other. Our story is about love. Real love that doesn't come at first sight, is never perfect or easy, demands work, patience, understanding, but which ultimately provides more happiness than any romantic fairy tale. And when Luna grows up and asks me how to build a relationship, I'll tell her our story. Honestly, without pretense. I'll tell her how we started with lies, but were able to build true love. I'll tell her that what matters isn't how you begin, but how you continue. I'll tell her that forgiveness isn't weakness, but strength. That giving people a second chance isn't foolishness, but wisdom. That love isn't just butterflies in the stomach and a racing heart, but the daily work of building a relationship, building yourself, building trust. I hope when she meets her person, she'll be wiser than us. That she won't start with lies, but will immediately build a relationship on honesty and openness. But if something goes wrong, if she faces betrayal or deception, I hope she remembers our story. Understands that anything can be fixed if both people truly want it. Because that desire to be together, no matter what, is what true love is. Not perfect, not from fairy tales, but real. The kind that lasts a lifetime. And when I look at Damon, at the way he plays with our daughter, how he laughs at her jokes, how he kisses her goodnight and tells her stories, I know I made the right choice. The choice to stay. The choice to forgive. The choice to give us a chance. Because love is a choice. Not a feeling that comes and goes, but a daily choice to be there. To support. To love. To forgive. And I choose Damon every day. Just as he chooses me. And in the end, that's all that matters. The voice that shouldn't exist became the voice that changed everything. The lie that should have destroyed us became the foundation we rebuilt stronger. The The betrayal that should have ended us became the beginning of something true. And sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't destroying someone who wronged you. It's refusing to let their deception define your story. It's choosing to build something beautiful from broken pieces. It's proving that love, real love, can survive even the worst beginning. That's the revenge I chose. Not against Damon, not against my mother, but against the lie itself. I took the deception and transformed it into truth. I took the manipulation and turned it into genuine choice. I took the broken trust and rebuilt it into something unbreakable. And now, when I look at my family, at the life we've built together, I know this was the most powerful revenge of all. Because we didn't just survive the lie. We made it irrelevant. We won.